75 employment consultants across the motu. We've got over 22 centres nationwide, and yeah, we're in the business of supporting job seekers to find a great job. It is important at this point to also note that as we deliver our services to our disabled community and our employers, we're lucky enough also to be able to facilitate pathways that also link to the services that Work and Income provide across certain programs that Denise has just talked to. And so it's great that that opportunity is not in isolation, because we all do the same mahi, because at the end of the day, our intent is exactly the same. Whether you deliver this contract or that contract, it's for the betterment of our communities to be in employment, because we know it's empowering. And from a health based outcome perspective, we know it makes people wellera when they're in a place of belonging and a place to work and to be contributing to society. So I just like to, Anne Hawker, who's the Principal Disability Advisor for Ministry of Social Development, she puts it quite beautifully. She talks to the employability of disabled people, and she said that it is not the right thing to do. It certainly is the bright thing to do, and I couldn't agree with that more. That it is certainly in these times, particularly with so many jobs and everybody hunting for the talent, it makes good sense to look to the wider pool, perhaps, that you haven't, as an employer, explored before, and feel a little bit inadequate or ill-prepared to consider disabled people for work. But let me tell you, we're here to help, to kind of remove some of those anxieties and challenges, I suppose. But we certainly don't profess to be doing that in isolation from you. Certainly, it'll be all about working in partnership with you to understand what your business needs are. So we are an organisation essentially who meet with community and whānau around members of whānau that have a disability or health condition that presents barriers to employment. And not too dissimilar from the work that Leah and them do over at the Chamber, we do an exploration around whakawhanaungatanga. We talk about who are you, where are you from, what are your gifts, what are your skills, where have you been, and vocationally understand the experiences they've had across the world of work, with the idea of pulling down an individualized kind of plan around removing barriers to employment, essentially. So whatever they look like, whether they be non-vocational or relative to a direct disability or impact of disability, we throw that in around, removing and finding strategies for getting up and over those barriers. Certainly, our experience is that you can't always remove those barriers to employment. They are hard and fast. And so we find ways to help them understand how to work with those barriers to employment. So I'll just take a step back and paint the wider picture, and then I'll cascade down into talking to what I was just talking about. But yes, we're an organisation that's about making a positive social impact. Like I talked to before, we know that everybody in our community has something to give, a gift to give, and our role is to bridge between those gifts and the talents that they have and the needs of business, in the opportunities they have for employment. Our employment consultants, as I mentioned, we've got 75 across the country. Essentially, their job is to assist the job seeker with the barriers to employment to secure ongoing employment, and not only just the immediate employment opportunity, but in succession to that, what is the pathway in terms of where they want to be in the future, and some of the goals that sit around that, and some of the career planning around that. So we work with them to understand the immediate, the medium and the longer term goals as we undertake our vocational assessments with them. And as I mentioned earlier, very much exploring the individual. We know that job seekers that come to us for support have had unique career backgrounds. And to Denise's point, yeah, they may want to lift and shift what they've always done and now can't do something that might be a little bit different. So we look at the transferable skills that they bring, and lift and shift those and think about those in the world of work and the job opportunities that are available to them, and with the employers that we currently work with. Um, the main responsibility essentially of our employment consultants is to build ongoing relationships and partnerships with our job seekers whānau, and community, and also the same approach across the employers that we work with, and finding a way to be able to bring those groups together in a way that is holistic across that whānau and those individuals, so that the relationship isn't only with the individual employee, but in some cases across the whānau. It's all about creating opportunities, and employment opportunities across those relationships. We work across employer spaces with SMEs, and larger organisations. We do work with the council, and we also do work with the guy down the road, who's got a beautiful pie shop. So it's quite the labour markets we play in, and the employers we work with is quite diverse, as is the job seekers we work with, in terms of the disabilities that they may present impacts from. And we are a pan organisation, so we work across multiple disability and health conditions. So the kōrero I just gave you around that preparation for work, understanding barriers, CV writing, interview skill development, it is essentially a coaching program. And it's a coaching program, what we refer to as our job guide service. Once those skills are and plans are up and running, and we've done the preparation work, we then move to what we call the job connection program, and that's essentially where we go to work on connecting the talents and skills of that individual with the employers that we work closely with. This is our Job Connect program, and so if you're an employer, understanding your recruitment needs and providing solutions around that, getting to know you. We really value, obviously, like many others do, the value that our employers have to us and to our job seekers, and understanding what their needs are, not only in the immediate around recruitment needs, but also around, what education they may benefit from in terms of working with people who experience a disability or health condition. And our job really is to be able to make those matches. We then work with employers to develop an action plan that responds to the needs of that particular business, and just our future job opportunities for Māori community. What we are finding, certainly, and it's really hard to keep up with the way that industries are changing, particularly in the AI space, and the way that Māori are using digital platforms to show their talents, is really relying on employers to be able to tell us, actually, for the here and now, we understand what it is that you need, but trying to get our head around, actually, what does that look like in 5 years? Yeah, we certainly are learning more and more every day about how important it is to understand those needs as we move forward. Talent search, so we advertise vacancies. We have an internal portal that goes across the motu. We raise those vacancies, and then we use our word of mouth and our relationships to talk to other community groups about the opportunities we have. Employers are singing out for talent on. And like I said, we do that across the motu. So if there's Frank down in Invercargill who wants to move to Auckland, and we have the right opportunity, because it's not available down there in Invercargill, then he will know about that job. Job seekers can log in, they've got their own login, they can look at the job opportunities across the country. So no job is owned necessarily by the team in Auckland. It's available to all of our job seekers across the country if they want that opportunity. And lastly, and probably most important to me, is post-placement supports and sustainable employment outcomes. This is the magic. I think that everything that I've talked to leads up to this. And this is the sustainable employment outcome stuff. This is where we go to work on ensuring that we are knitting the supports um, and making those strong across the employment relationship between job seeker and employer. We know that sustainable employment changes generations, it changes lives, it changes whānau. And so we like to go to work extensively in this area to ensure that once we someone referred to it, we're not a place and pray organization. We used to be many years ago, when it was cool to do that, just get the job, see you later, good luck. But we're certainly not that organization 8 and 9 years on. So the magic really is about being able to keep those employment relationships well, strong, and sustainable. We've got resources all over the place. We've got an online employer information portal, which educates you on different stuff around employing disabled people. Anne Hawken, who I referenced earlier, who wrote the Revisited with Rewriting the Toolkit for Employers Employing Disabled People, really choice resource. And also to our website that's got a lot more information. But short of that, really happy just to receive your phone calls to korero more. We're also starting to do a little bit of work in the long COVID space with some organisations that have reached out to us. But boy, if you've got any expertise across that and you want to be in on a working group that we're starting to establish here at Workbridge around long COVID, please let me know. Because like everywhere, it's kind of one of those things that's here, but nobody really knows too much about it, except those that are actually consumed by it. So I'm in front of people like that who are, they like to call themselves consumers of this long COVID. And they're kind of informing me and the organisation at Workbridge as to, what the future of that kind of support might look like moving ahead. And its relativity, of course, to how that impacts on the employer relationship. So thank you for your tarangas. Thank you for listening to me. Feel free just to reach out if you need to korero any further with me. Happy to chat.